Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Addison Rex. He also goes by a code name, Agent Cru. Now, Addison wears many hats, including that of a CEO at Wine Spies, which is an innovative online wine retailer and e-commerce tech company. Now, he has a background that's deeply rooted in the wine industry, from viticulture to wine production, and has a knack for leveraging cutting-edge technology. Addison brings a unique perspective on the trials and tribulations of growing a business. So grab a glass of your favorite wine, sit back, join us as we uncork the secrets behind Wine Spies and dive into the fascinating intersection of wine, technology, and cybersecurity with Addison Rex, the mastermind behind it all. Hi, everyone. Welcome to One Step Beyond Cyber. My name is Scott Kreisberg, and I'm the CEO and founder of One Step Secure IT. Now, I've been helping small and medium-sized businesses for a few decades, and I decided to create this channel to share both my and my guests' insights on many topics surrounding safely living in today's complex digital world, as well as business growth strategies. All right, let's dive in. Welcome, Addison. How are you doing today? It's great to finally have this opportunity to chat with you. My first question, why Agent Cru? Where did that code name come from?
Thanks for having me on. Happy to be here. Yes, Agent Cru reporting in undercover from Paloma, California.
Love the glasses.
Thanks. Got to live the spy life. But we've all got code names here at Wine Spies. Got to live the brand. So we all are undercover here. There's actually 12 of us now. It's hard to keep our code names straight. But Agent Cru, that's my business moniker as CEO of the Wine Spies.
That's awesome. And how long have you guys been doing that?
We have been rolling for 17 years now, believe it or not, which is the longest running flash sale e-commerce wine website in the world. So wow. Yeah, there's been entrants come and go. Wine Spies, soldiers onward.
That's right. That's right. Well, so let's start with that. Like, how did you start this thing? And is it a family business, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, so my business partner, Agent Red, him and Agent Red and Agent White founded the company. So I've been the CEO for 7 years now. Okay. But speaking of family businesses, I was with my family's winery, Deerfield Ranch Winery, for a good 8 years, or as a general manager. So he kind of courted me. I was one of the many vendors selling wine to Wine Spies. That's how we kind of met. Okay. And he's just a little bee in my ear buzzing. And finally, he caught me in a moment of weakness. So here I am, and could not be happier. It is a super fun business. And, while it's great to kind of be on the producer side and, make wine, which is very fun, it's also, you're telling the same story, you're working with the same wines. And the best part about Wine Spies is selling one different wine every single day, 365 days of the year. You're going to try a lot of different awesome wines.
I bet. I got a lot of questions regarding that. So this is family run, right? This is a family business.
Yeah, small business. Jason Seabird's the owner of the company, and his son actually working in the company too. So definitely not a corporate giant conglomerate thing. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So how does it feel working in a family business? I assume you've also worked in non-family business, and I'm just curious because a lot of viewers are small to medium-sized businesses. So just curious how that works out.
Well, I've had a lot of experience working directly for family. Deerfield Ranch was started by my uncle in the 80s, and he doesn't have any children that wanted to be in the business, so I'd come in, and it is challenging. Actually, his wife passed away this past month, and I've been it's a huge, just earthquake that shuddered through the whole business, and so I've kind of come back there to help out quite a bit, and balancing, it really is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, obviously there's that sense of actual connection that people care about the people that they're working with and in the business in a different way. The passion is definitely more real. But then you have the challenges that you've got of kind of maybe introducing that personal aspect to the business. So I think, the secret sauce is threading that needle. And for Wine Spies, people always talk about, we're a family here, but I mean, all of the people that work here, we really are friends. And I think that paying attention to everybody as, the real human, the full picture,
Right.
as much as that sounds just like, a shtick, it really is the way that I approach management. And I mean, I think that when people are genuinely happy to show up and be at the office, people just naturally want to put their best work forward instead of just worried about getting in trouble, so to speak. So, I think instead of it's not even just carrot versus stick. It's more about, instilling a actual intrinsic desire to see the company succeed,
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So, we're a small to medium sized business ourselves. We're family owned, and my two sons just started in the business, and I'm just sort of that believer. You start in the mailroom, man. You've got to learn everything from the bottom up, because these small businesses, man, they are complicated today.
Yes.
And yeah, people think, oh, just, so I was curious, like, how do you feel about that? And do you think like starting at the top or start at the bottom and learn the damn thing?
Yeah, well, actually, at Deerfield, I started literally as what we call a cellar rat. So I was scrubbing barrels, and actually, I kept a blog of those early years called Deerfield Cellar Rat, which I think is still up, and was popular. People see that kind of journey starting at the very bottom of the ladder, and I mean, it's not just the experiences and the humility you gain along the way. You actually know how the sausage is made, and how all the little facets of the business, which really, I mean, from a top level strategic management point, there's levers you can pull there, but at the end of the day, that's not really how a business operates. It is all the little kind of nuts and bolts, and the better you know those, I think the more effective you can be, obviously. The largest wine company in the world is Gallo Family Wines today, wine producer, and they're still family owned and operated. And the Gallos have a rule, which is if you want to work for the Gallo family as a Gallo, you have to go away. I know it's for at least 2 years, but I think it might actually be for 4 years. You have to go away and work for another company for 4 years, and then you can come back. And consequently, their whole ethos is just generated. They've cultivated at this point, 4 generations of exceptional winery executives. I mean, it really is an amazing playbook. And so, yeah, I think it's crucial. And I think everybody knows that if you've got the nepotism thing where that person isn't carrying the weight, how just absolutely toxic to the rest of the team it can be. Yeah. And for myself, I'll just say, like, I felt a strong pressure to continuously prove myself and work harder to earn my place more than I think other people had to work, just to feel like, yeah, I actually belong.
Yeah. Well, that old work ethic is just not, it still holds true today. So, I hope we can inspire some of our listeners to do that. So listen, wine business, what's the typical day in the winery type business? And is that lifestyle of being in that wine business as glamorous as it seems?
Yeah, right. So that is what we like to make everybody think, for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously so many people gravitate towards wine country because of that. And I mean, I always kind of put it this way. It's definitely a perk that's real. If you're making bolts or something, all respect due to bolt manufacturers.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't get to sit at the end of the day and overlook some ridiculously dramatic vineyard landscape, sipping on the fruits of your labor. But I mean, the wine business itself is actually really, really complex and fascinating. Has a lot of different disciplines. I mean, you got grape growing, which is farming, agriculture, biology, soil science. You've got winemaking, which is like hardcore chemistry, like all the challenges of manufacturing with a ton of regulation and red tape. You've got the business side, which is international, extraordinarily competitive. Tons of huge incumbents and tons and tons and tons of startup small businesses. So super competitive landscape. You've got a really complex and nuanced marketing world where it's this boutique and elevated product, and kind of the stratosphere of like Louis Vuitton and LVMH, and but on the other hand is also kind of just like a commodity where people are drinking it as part of their daily meal kind of thing. And you have to figure out how to appeal to wide variety of consumers in that way.
Right.
So I mean, all of these different things make it an extremely fascinating industry. And, being on the Wine Spies side of things, it's just such a fun point of to sit at in terms of the landscape of business, because, we work with distributors, producers, brokers, everyone like directly the winery. I mean, the winemaker just drops a sample from the tank off all the way to like really complex negotiations. So you see kind of, the whole landscape and on where, how the wine gets to market in all these different ways. So that keeps it really fun and fresh and exciting. And then we're also a technology platform. I mean, our site has been built from scratch, coded line by line by us. And in a industry where there's a lot of, let's just say, legacy institutions that do not know how to do that, it really gives us a fun edge and a different twist to it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's for me, like wine, the wine business encompasses all of the stuff you said, but it's still art, and all the way down. Yeah. All the way down to the marketing, right? Because, if you just wrote, red wine blend, drinks well, $15.99. People are just going to be like, it has to be, the plum, the charred oak, and it's all described so artfully, right?
Well, and now even beyond that, because, if you look at, so we write, I mean, this is what Wine Spies does, is we sell one different wine every day, but we write a lot of marketing content every single day. And if you read our tasting notes, sure, we have the plum and the charred oak and all that stuff, but, we're also saying, oh man, this is like hitting a 180 kickflip off of a giant vert ramp, and crashing on the way down. Cause, you got to just, the sense of feeling is what you're trying to impart more than anything else. But I mean, Amazon Wine failed 3 different times. I mean, the largest, most successful retailer in the world can't sell this product for the exact reason you just described. You would go to their homepage and it would literally say red or white.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. That's why the Walmarts of the world, it won't work there. That's just not, that's not their thing,
They can't figure it out.
Yeah.
At great cost. I mean, millions and millions of dollars spent, can't figure it out.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It is. It really is.
So, if you sell a wine a day, so 300, I don't know if you do it on weekends too.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so
actually we do multiple offers a day. So we should do about 1,000 offers a year.
Oh, okay, great. So multiple wines at times, but is there a process you go through for choosing the wine? And for me, if you could tie in the whole price quality thing, because we all know about, the former $2 Chuck at Trader Joe's, which is now I think $4 or $5, but so I think there's that level, which I'm not talking about here, but $50 bottles versus $25, is there a correlation? And so process of choosing and that whole price quality ratio.
Yeah. No, they're both fascinating topics. So the selection process is something that's the fun part of the job for sure. So we get, so to do that 1,000 offers a year, we probably are reviewing upwards of 5,000 different wines. I mean, I would say,
Shucks.
Yeah, probably more than that, just because I don't think our acceptance rate is 20%. So we work with literally thousands of vendors, and, we have got 2 incredible wine buyers that are constantly, getting samples sent to us. In the beginning, it was quite hard to get people to send us wine, especially at the early days when this wasn't a thing in terms of a sales channel. Now, it's a lot easier to get the bottles on the table. So every Friday we all sit together, and we've got a bunch of different palettes in the room. And the key thing, and the reason our business has been successful, is because we just the cornerstone is trust. When you're going to a tasting room, obviously you're gonna try the wine, and if you like it, you buy it. When you're buying wine online, sight unseen, you just have to trust the person that it's going to be a good bottle, and the writing can help for sure. You get someone excited, but at the end of the day, they're going to buy it because they think that whatever you're saying is legit. So we don't sell wines that we don't genuinely love.
Okay.
So basically, when you buy a bottle from Wine Spies, you're getting a good bottle, and that's ridiculously important. But that being said, obviously taste is subjective, right? So, if you're a big, bold, fruit bombs in guy, then you might not like the super kind of weird, austere Italian wine that's really tannic. That's the subjective part. So we've kind of got a bunch of different palates in the room, and it's fun. I mean, it's like, we got the Italian guy, and I kind of just recuse myself and say, hey, I don't got any skin in this game. I represent the masses. I like my big red blend, just easy drinkers. We've got the guy who like knows what money wine tastes like, and he's like, yeah, this is what the cult cab Napa people want right here. And sometimes we'll kind of hash it out a lot, but a lot of times though, we all kind of know what the wine is supposed to be. And then as it relates to, and then from there, it's all about just the economics of it. Because Wine Spies' commitment is we have the best price in the world for 24 hours. So and the sale goes away at midnight. But for that 24 hours, we have the best price in the world. And there's a lot of things that can make that a good value proposition. It doesn't have a high score. Obviously, people care about that. Is it from a notable winemaker? Is there an interesting story there? But at the end of the day, it's, are you getting what you pay for? And so I think this is what people always want to know is like, is a bottle of wine ever worth $100? Like, what does that even mean?
Right.
And the way I look at it is that what is so enjoyable about trying so many different wines is you do realize that at different price points, there's basically objective levels of quality. And some of that is governed by just cost and what it takes to put that quality in the bottle in the first place. And essentially there's a floor, which around these days is like 15 to, actually now it's almost like $18, where it's pretty much impossible to put a bottle of wine on a store shelf for less than that has any sense of character at all. So what we're talking about is a wine now that has no faults. So it doesn't have like any like volatile acid in it. It doesn't have any sort of, weird like off taste like flavors. It's not reduced. It's not, there's nothing wrong with the wine objectively. And right. then the next thing is, all right, this wine is actually made somewhere where it has some actual real character. I'm not going to anti-wine snob. I have nothing wrong with the $2 now $5 chuck. It's fine. And I mean, honestly, I'll enjoy a glass of it and it's no problem, but it's really every single one of those bottles is going to taste the same. And if you're looking for that kind of reliability in the same way when you go buy a beer and it's like, oh, I know what this is going to taste like. It's going to taste like Lagunitas Maximus every single time. Then that fits that very well. But the reason that it tastes like that is because it's super manipulated. They adjusted everything. They added a whole bunch of flavorings to it. Including things like, fake oak products and even literal fruit flavorings and concentrates, to make it taste a certain way consistently. But the fun and the magic about wine is that it is this, ephemeral, fruit product, which changes every single year and is a reflection of where those grapes are grown. And you really can't get that below a certain price point. And then just to wrap it up, I would say there's kind of like bars of quality, basically going up to like $50 to $60, where it is hard to find and this is when you get like your palate is all honed in and you care about soft tannins and bullshit like that. So, if you care about that kind of thing, then I would say like you can find stratospheres of increasingly more fine wines. And then in my humble opinion, once you get past like $75, it's all just marketing. It's more about scarcity and demand than it has any relation to substance.
Yeah, and I was thinking when you were talking, I was thinking, okay, so if the quality sort of peaks out at a certain, price point, then it's going to probably be, like you said, scarcity, a 73 Rothschild or something like that, that was, then you have to worry about how it was stored and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a cost factor to that, right? So, yeah, super interesting stuff. This is where you get to like that scientific component of it as well. So, so selecting wines, super fun, but super complex. How about your business model? I think it would be interesting for people to understand how you chose the e-commerce business model, as well as what it is that you do. So if you could describe both those things, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Wine Spies is one of those very rare niches where it's kind of a win-win for everybody on the business side and the supply chain and from the consumer's perspective. So early on, I mean, first of all, like I said, the wine industry, terrible at technology. So the e-commerce was non-existent. But even if wineries were good at building websites and selling their wines online, generally, there's still this need for somebody to kind of, find and move the orphan wines. And there's many different reasons why there might be a lot of wine that just needs to go away. And mostly it has to do with the whole supply chain and distribution system for wineries. So most wineries, they've got their wines in restaurants and grocery stores. And for that to be effective, they kind of have to have this wine rolling out to many, many different locations through a distributor. If you think about it and you go to a restaurant and you look on a wine list, it says like 2014 Alexander Valley, Sauvignon Blanc. And so it's 2000, but the crucial part is that 2014. So as soon as it switches over to the 2015, they run out, this entire machine breaks down because you've got every single one of those restaurants needs to update their wine list. All those salespeople need to go and pitch the new vintage. And so the end of vintage is a huge pain point for the industry. And what the best thing to do really is switch before you run out and you can't fill orders to the next vintage. And then you end up with a couple pallets of the last vintage sitting there, and they want it to go away. So that is one example of a very common need that Wine Spies filled. And early on, there really wasn't any other channels to do that. So that's kind of where Wine Spies came in, is meeting that need on the industry side. And then for the consumers, I mean, because of our volumes that we purchase at, we just have insanely good price points. So like I said, I mean, we're best price anywhere in the world. And a lot of times that can be a discount of 50% or more. So I think it really just, and then early on, again, it was more just a desire for them to move that wine and get a big check. But now, I mean, Wine Spies has a community, and this is not just me sales pitching it. We have a real community of super serious wine drinkers and wine buyers and a large audience, because these are the people that, frankly, they spend so much money on wine already. They need to figure out a way to fund their habit more cheaply. So it's a great discovery platform now. And now wineries view us as a place to build their brand and reach new audience, because that wine is only available once. And then if they want more of that wine, they go to the winery. Right. So a lot of people do use it for discovery. And this has kind of just been, a virtuous cycle here, where more people are getting interested. With more people getting interested, wineries are more interested in working with us and offering us better deals. As we get bigger, we're able to, have more buying power, and get better deals. So it's been a tricky road to hoe at times, but we're really just hitting our stride. It's going great.
That's incredible. Yeah. So were you the first guys to do this?
So there was one other one before us, which was Wine Woot. And that was the Woot was the pioneer of the flash sale model online.
Yeah. And then like a timer, right? Like a countdown.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, that's right. I mean, there's the same deal. They had the timer. They really were a pioneer. And they had kind of did some spin-off sites like T-shirt, like Woot.T-shirt and Wine Woot. And then actually they were acquired by Amazon. And then when Amazon bought Whole Foods, because of the licensing conflict, there's tiers in what we call the 3-tier system. So you can't hold multiple licenses on different tiers. And so they had to shutter Wine Woot. So that's why we're the oldest today.
Oh, okay. And is the competition growing in your space, or is the point of entry so high now that it's much more challenging for somebody new trying to come in?
No, I mean, I think it's well, okay. So first of all, it's a really fun space because there's not that many competitors, but we all are in the same area and we all know each other, and it's really healthy, friendly competition. Like we're all trying to win, but there's really only 4 or 5 of us that are serious players, and it's definitely motivating, because we're always looking, oh, what did they get? Oh my God. And that keeps it exciting. But it's quite respectful most of the time as well. And we've grown together to kind of a size where all of a sudden we are just taken much more seriously as a sales channel, as a block. And then as far as startups and new entries are, I think it's a great space. It's the challenge is the relationships. I mean, it took a long time to build the relationships with all of the vendors it takes to get this kind of pipeline of deals that comes through. And so it can be quite challenging for newcomers to start to build that up slowly. I think that there's plenty of opportunity for people to do it, and it is fun. But I've seen, a lot of the little guys come and go. There's plenty of success stories where they kind of get to a noticeable size and get acquired. But it is a really challenging space. And my advice to everybody when it comes to the wine industry is always, if you have a skill set, whatever that skill set is, you will make at least 30% more doing that in another industry. So
the grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just for the very reason that the wine industry is sexy and, people want to be in it. It just means that people are willing to work for less, and it's just highly competitive. And so the opportunities, it's always easier to make a buck not selling bottles of wine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in Europe about a month or so ago, and I visited the Czech Republic for the first time.
Oh, I heard it's awesome.
And the friend that we were visiting owns a winery there that's family owned and all that. And I asked him what his sort of the challenge of the grapes growing process was. And of course, there's weather and soil, there's all that, but it was just interesting. It was birds eating the fruit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's insanely difficult. And it's funny, it's like you go to a trade show and there'll be, some, boring, point of sale software booth. And it's next to a booth where they've got like live falcons to scare off the starlings from your vineyard,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I saw like they're doing lasers now. Like
lasers.
Yeah.
They've got kites that like constantly fly that have like a little motorized propeller that simulate an owl or a hawk. And we've come a long way from bird nets. And one of the fun things is that people are just constantly innovating. But it's crazy. I mean, you can literally rent a hawk. So there's falconers that will come out and chase off all the starlings. And what's amazing is they'll just visit once or twice and the starlings won't come back for years because they remember, oh, there was a hawk there.
Stay away. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Bird damage could be a huge problem. They peck the grapes, and then what happens is it opens up the grape, and then that molds.
Got it. Yeah, it was just interesting. I never thought about it, but
Yeah.
then, if I was a bird, I saw a bunch of grapes. It looked good to me, man. So, when we're talking to prepare for today's episode, one of us had mentioned about mentors, and I wasn't sure. I forgot. Have you had mentors, and how did they help you? Did they hold you accountable, or what? How did they help you with your journey?
Yeah, I mean, so starting as a seller out at Deerfield, my uncle Robert was definitely a mentor to me, and just, I mean, setting an example for others is obviously huge, and just that he's the kind of guy who wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and does all his emails so that by the time it's time to go out to the vineyard before the sun's coming up, he's out there. And then just put in the work all day, just seeing what it takes and how to be and how to be real and authentic and genuine with people. And so we, as the winery has contracts with probably 30 different vineyards, and a lot of those are handshake agreements, and just kind of maintaining those relationships, and just making hard decisions, like when it's harvest time and the fruit, they're like, it was a hard year, for example, and the fruit got sunburned, and we're not going to use it to make wine, but the farmer sells it by the ton. Just making a hard decision, like buying the grapes, which we're going to sort and throw away or compost, just to honor that relationship and help that person out. Those were things that I definitely took note of. And then I really try to return the favor. And my kind of philosophy and do-gooderism, I don't think that I don't really think it does a lot. I don't want to put this the wrong way. I'm not the kind of guy that would be happy to cut a check to Red Cross and not know where that money goes.
You're the second person I've talked to this week that have said something similar, not Red Cross, but just like, I want to know where I want to see that money go to work.
Yeah, I want to see it go to work. And the one thing that I know I can make a difference on is somebody's life. And so I've kind of there's always at least one kid hanging around the office, who would take under my wing. And I really do look at it like, you're kind of throw a stone in a pond and those ripples emanate outwards, and you just don't know what the impacts of that are going to be, or what good that person is going to do. And it is that is something that I'm willing to pour the time into, and without the expectation that that person's going to stick around, and a lot of times they do. And I mean, I think we've, for the past 7 years, I've had one person leave the company, and it was because their partner was wanting to move away. So our retention's basically been 100%. So I think that definitely says something. And and giving people the opportunity to grow, I mean, that's the most value you can provide to somebody, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so listen, you're very passionate about, wine and e-commerce. And as you know, I'm passionate about technology. And so I actually started One Step Retail Solutions, which is a different division of my company, with the express purpose of helping, retailers utilize technology, right? But what are some of the challenges that you encountered in managing an online wine retailer, and how does technology help you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, that really is our secret sauce. Agent Red was actually the one early on to make a key strategic decision in that we were going to build everything ourselves. At that time, it was a little bit more obvious that was necessary, because there simply were no e-com solutions that were sufficient for the wine industry. There's a lot of specific needs that relate to logistics and compliance, and also just the front end checkout experience. There's a bunch of, like, putting ice packs in your order, stuff like that. It just wasn't there at the time. And so people were often trying to use off the shelf solutions, and then had a limited ability to customize them. And consequently, the experiences were just horrible,
Right. Yeah.
And so we started a long time ago building our platform, which we call Upseller. And we haven't marketed it to anybody else or try to productize it. We just use it ourselves. But it is like a full service turnkey platform to do everything from the logistics and sourcing. It's got APIs to connect to third-party fulfillment centers, all the way through their merchandising of our content for our calendar and storing and warehousing all of that data, to the full front end website. It's a Ruby app, and the front end website is just the front end of that same app. And so, yeah, we do it all ourselves, and we've got an in-house development team to do that. And our Agent Q, actually, it's an interesting story that your audience might appreciate. Is so we, at the beginning, we had a full-time one in-house engineer, and then he ended up leaving the company. And so at the time, it was kind of a little bit of a crisis, because this guy had single-handedly put together this entire code base. Very fortunately, we found a great contractor who was an independent contractor who could come in and just fix things when they broke. And that's when I came in the company, and I recognized, okay, we can't administrate our own software if we don't have talent here. And so the engineer was willing to. He was working on his own projects as a contractor. He worked for a few other businesses besides us, and I was basically steadily increasing his retainer. He would have been interested at the time of coming in and working for us full time, but he was also kind of at a crossroads where he wanted to pursue building his own development business and working for other companies. So what I ended up doing was just saying, like, hey, that's fine. You do your thing. You do such a good job. And really the benefit was he was able to grow his team independently. And the other companies that were hiring him, they were helping fund that entire team. So all of a sudden, he's hiring, multiple junior engineers, another senior engineer, a full-time UX designer, and all these other staff members whom now I get access to and the benefit of for, basically an hourly retainer. And then as we grow and need more hours, his company grows. We give him bigger and bigger he gets bigger and bigger billables. Right. But he's able to scale faster than what we would have to bring in house. And that's been extraordinarily cost effective for us and was a great solution. So, that only worked because of who he is and how high quality he is. And so this will be that strategy would be contingent on finding that person. But it was a really good case study in the benefit of working with someone as an independent contractor rather than trying to bring them in-house. Even though he integrates with our team as a full-time staff member, I mean, he's in our Slack every single day, super responsive. And that has just been a really good way to do it. But the benefit of us building our own platform, I mean, this is the real secret to our business success here, is we were able to innovate and do things that other people in our space simply were not, because they had to work with off-the-shelf solutions that couldn't accomplish it. And so when we saw opportunities like our locker system, which is the ability to purchase from multiple different offers over time and aggregate those bottles into a single shipment and have it shipped all at once, which just changed everything. It changed our entire business model. We were able to execute on that, even though I'm sure plenty of other people had that very simple idea, because we were able to design it and build it ourselves. And then the double-edged sword of it, of course, is that you can't call Shopify if your system breaks, or you can't call One Step. So, you got to do it yourself. And that is a huge pain point, So yeah, but these are interesting.
Yeah. So developing your own platform, huge competitive advantage. Some of the smaller people just starting out might not be able to afford that, but the way you started it with that outsourced individual when he was just one person and growing his business at the same time, I think your timing on that couldn't have been.
Yes.
Couldn't have been. So being innovative, to me, being innovative is and adding more value to your experience is key. And you just described that to the T. And my next question, I think you inadvertently already answered, which was, can you share any innovative approaches Wine Spies has taken to enhance, the e-commerce experience? And you just talked about that wine locker, but if you want to mention anything else, I mean, I was thinking, shipping a single bottle of wine that's not very efficient. Then you just basically told me about this wine locker.
Well, to go back and touch on that other point, I mean, you're right, you're absolutely right about the timing. And I would say the landscape's so different today. I mean, to kind of start from scratch and build a full ecom platform, it takes so long for that to become fully featured and robust that I don't think you'll really ever catch up. I mean, I think that there really, is a need. Like, I mean, you're never going to be as efficient or skilled if you're trying to build a business selling wine or whatever your widget is, if you're also going to try to take the time to become an e-commerce software provider. And frankly, there's so many solutions out there that have come such a long way. Now it's kind of the opposite. You're not going to be ahead of the other guy. You're going to be behind the other guy because they're leveraging existing technology solutions. So
Right.
I think that's a really good point. That my perspective is a little bit skewed because of the way it worked out for us when it worked out for us. And, I think that's a good, really, really good point. Maybe that should be a cautionary tale for people considering taking a similar approach now. And, should rely on companies that know what the hell they're doing, like One Step. So I'd say that besides the lockers, I think the checkout experience itself was the big thing we innovated on. When it comes to wine, there's so many different things that you have to think about, especially when we introduced the locker system. It's like, do you want to add this bottle to your locker? Do you want to ship it now? Do you want it to go on a temp control truck? Do you want it to go temperature control? I mean, to have an ice pack in it? Do you want it to do you want it to get expedited? Do you want it to be held and then released over a certain number of days? All of these different decisions that you have to make, you could end up with a ridiculously convoluted and long checkout experience. So the thing that I had a early goal that I insisted on, and we were going to fix it and solve it no matter what, is I wanted one click checkout with all of that different stuff. And so today, from the homepage, from the widget, you can click add to locker and check out in one button click from the widget. You press add to locker and then check out, because you can save all of those different default preferences. And then if you wanted to change it, for a particular order, super easy to click edit real quick. And then just working over time to just continuously improve and refine it while adding functionality and options. There's just a great deal of thought that went into that.
Yeah. And do you get customer feedback? Is that also how you were able to think about some of these advancements?
Yeah. And, obviously listening to your customers is absolutely essential, but also having the stomach and fortitude to, chart your own path is also equally important. For the first 10 years of the business, like you said, shipping one bottle of wine is not going to work. So what we did, as with all our competitors still do, is it was free shipping on 6 bottles.
Okay.
But if you think about that, it's like, all right, let's say today's wine is $125, but today, it's 70% off, so you can get it for $50. All right, that's still an expensive bottle of wine, but shoot, like maybe I'll try a $50 bottle. All right, but if you have to buy 6 of them, okay, now it's $300. Like that is a very, very different value proposition from an email that just landed in your inbox and you're at work and you're like, I'll just take a flyer on this, So that was a huge, it was in 10 years. That was the business model. And then when we added lockers, we changed the free shipping from 6 bottles to 12 bottles, but now we're adding a possibility where you can check out with just that one bottle and pay $50, where you could not do that before. So you'll get the free shipping, but that's after you fill up a full case. But it was a big trade-off. And, the whole pitch is like, hey, you can get free shipping on as little as 1 bottle. You're going to buy 12 bottles from us eventually anyway. But now if you want free shipping, it's 12 bottles. And so, we had a huge audience after 10 years of business that were used to doing it a certain way for a long time.
Right.
And so when we launched lockers, we got a ton of, oh my God, this is the best idea ever. And a ton of, how dare you? I can't believe it. It was free ship on 6, now it's free ship on 12, never doing business with you again. And my chief marketing officer was like, this is catastrophic. We need to take evasive action immediately and make this free shipping on 6. And I just knew it's like, no, we are offering a value proposition which no one else has. It's a tremendous way to buy wine. People are going to absolutely love this in the long term. And if we make it free shipping on 6 for lockers now, we're never going to be able to go the other way. And we 20% of our gross revenue goes to the cost of fulfillment, which we eat 20%. So it's a lot. So it's like, hey, do we want to offer good wines and good prices to people? Because if we save on shipping, we can pass that back on to the customer and offer even better discounts. And so it was, we just weathered that initial criticism. And I think since then we've grown 10 by a factor of 10. So,
it's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah. Would you describe with your marketing, director saying red alert, we do the same thing. Like, we take feedback, we repackage, our services, and then our sales team will go, you got to put it back the way it was. And then sure enough, they're like, oh my, they forget they told us that. And 6 months later, they're loving it. Everybody's loving it.
Forget.
They were concerned about it, but that's insight. And there's also risk, right? So you did take a risk. It could have backfired, but it didn't. And so your insight was good there.
I just want to add, it's the thing where none of that is to say, don't listen to your customer. We take every single piece of correspondence incredibly seriously. And I think the secret sauce is just separating the wheat from the chaff. Is this guy clearly just having a bad day? As soon as you see a pattern of complaints, now it's time to take it seriously. Right. And then just, and then is there anything that we could have done differently? And then does this rise to the level of a strategic decision where you're going to take a risk? And, we do customer surveys. We've got some of I think the best customers anywhere. We call them our operatives. And they love us and we genuinely love them. We have a really, really fun, engaged community. We wanted to have a Facebook group for a long time to discuss the wines and just never really took the initiative because I wanted to make sure we did it right. And we recently launched it with a big stream marathon and launched it and instantly created a super active community. And now we've got this incredible portal of highly engaged people that are just more than happy to share their opinions, but really, really cool people that, are very reasonable and just want to see better offers and stuff. So that's been awesome. And again, thread the needle, figure out the middle path there.
Yeah. And, you're never going to please everybody. And even if it is a normally happy customer, like you said, they had a bad night's sleep and they're just venting. So definitely looking for that trend, and then take it up. I think it's really critical. So listen, last question here, imagine you're toasting the success of Wine Spies with one of your favorite glasses of wine. What words of wisdom or advice would you offer, to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to blend maybe some passion, some innovation, some technology into their own ventures?
Yeah. I think that for me, it really is just my personal work philosophy and management style of just being yourself at work. I really I don't come to work and I put on my work mask. I really don't do that.
That's real.
Yeah, this is actually connected. There's no glue, I saw somebody I haven't seen for years the other day. They're just like, did not recognize me. I'm 36. It's like shock white. But, and what that allows you to do is just be able to do your job in the same way that you would kind of just have normal personal relationships. And it doesn't mean that you can't be every bit as, professional and effective. I should say professionally effective.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the thing. When we sit there on Friday, we've got a counter a live counter. It's a cool one of those old school flipping counters. Kind of the numbers that flip over like you'd see at an old airport. And it's a live bottle counter. It's connected to the internet. It shows how many bottles we've sold that day. Okay. And it's so fun. We're just all sitting around drinking the wines and watching those numbers flip over as professional colleagues and friends. And yeah, it just makes us so much more excited to be at work. It really does.
That's awesome. Great advice, man. Well, listen, that's all the time we have for today. But, before I end off, I want to personally thank you, Agent Cru, for spending your time with us today and sharing your journey with us. It's been great. I hope all of you out there enjoyed learning about Agent Cru's journey, and that you'll be inspired to apply some of the valuable insight given today. Thank you for tuning in today's episode. If you found this conversation engaging, I suggest that you check out our previous episode featuring Kurt Stein, in which we really uncovered the AI generation and what's going on with it. And that there's this very small window that business owners have to really dig in and start learning and utilizing this transcendent technology. Now, be sure, remember, hit the subscribe button, stay updated with our latest releases and insightful discussions. But until next time, stay safe and be vigilant navigating today's digital world.